Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
And with the sound of the clacker, here we are again at another exciting episode of Mobile Armor Radio.
It's like deja vu.
66. Yes, part 2, you might say.
The cursed episode.
The cursed episode.
These are the cursed files.
Yes.
Palpatine cursed
Brian.
us.
And I'm Chopper.
I'm Rob. You can hear me this time. Hello.
Yes, that's the important fact, is that we've may have recorded this once before and couldn't hear everybody on the opposite end.
For some people, that might have been a bonus episode.
Yeah.
That might have been,
Some people might have just put that episode out.
That might have been our most popular episode ever.
Ouch. Single tear.
Yeah, and only one person will try to listen to it. Beetle, we love you.
We'll pour out one for the homie episodes.
Yep. But I believe we tried asking each other like how the weather was, and
it's snowy.
what we
That's
did
right.
over Thanksgiving.
There's actual snow on the ground. Yesterday I was complaining that there was no snow on the ground, and tonight there's snow on
Oh,
the
you
ground.
have snow now.
Yep.
Nice.
I got the
Yeah,
snow
so
that you guys
that's
got the day
changed.
before. So.
Yep.
And I asked how Thanksgiving was. How was your Thanksgivings? You
Yeah,
gave
it was
thanks.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. With the one disappointing part was the Lions beating the Packers at football, which I'm sure no one really cares about on the show, but it was a big part of my Thanksgiving experience. But so it was quite the upset considering how well both teams have been doing throughout the year so far.
Detroit's been
was-
choking.
Yeah, I think Detroit's on the downslope. But this isn't the NFL podcast. This is the.
No.
Was there any mechs on the field? I don't think so.
Well, let's see. No, because it's
Jared-
Thursday.
Jeff
They have
Goff. What's Goff's first name? Jared?
Jared.
Jared
Jared
Goff is a mech.
Oh, he's
So,
a robot
like,
in disguise.
The NFL, like since the Transformers, and this will be a fun part if we can recapture Pat's rants about the Transformers movies.
Yeah,
but,
that's coming up.
Like since the Transformers movies came out, the NFL has a robot mascot,
That's true. They do. Yep.
and no one knows why. They just do.
Well, Fox, it came out, it was a Fox thing. It was their
Was it the Rock'em Sock'em robot?
It was
kind
their
of thing?
morning sports show kind of CGI thing. I don't know if it had anything to do with the Transformers, but
Well, I think it was in the zeitgeist. The robots.
Yeah, it was more of a zeitgeist thing. It's like people really like those Transformers movies by Michael Bay.
I feel like that robot's been a while.
Yeah, Transformers has been out for like
those movies
15
have been
years.
out.
I'm not saying that, but
Yeah, I think it's.
No, they've had that robot mascot. Kind of looks like Bumblebee, and they've had him for years now.
Yeah.
Still kicking.
Anyways.
But yeah, with that's enough small talk for now. We're ready to get into the dropship.
Yo.
Dropship landing.
And here we are in the dropship. Now, the dropship is brought to you by one of our sponsors, The Madness of John Bear Ross on Patreon. Join the madness of JBR. Visit patreon.com/John Bear Ross or search for John Bear Ross on Tribes at myminifactory.com. One full-size 28mm mech per month and more.
And
I
this I was going to mention is what's upcoming for him this next month is Project Kyphos, maybe.
Kyphos?
It's another one of his giant mechs, but this time it's kind of like a hunchback from Battletech. Big shouldered mounted weapon, but yeah, it looks cool. I like the new head, but this is the kind of stuff you can expect. He has a miniature for scale. That's a 28mm miniature, so you can tell how big they are. So these
They are some big STLs that he puts together.
Yeah. So that's what you can be expecting. We're gonna shoot right over your mind since we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So to for those that aren't familiar with the show, so the dropship is the part where we talk about projects that we've been working on that are mech related or hobby related, and sometimes this is a quick section of the show, as a lot of us get very busy. But we will throw it over to Rob. What do you have up for us?
Well, coincidentally, I printed something from John Bear Ross. This is his rifleman, not rifleman, called a Fusilier.
It's rifleman, but not rifleman.
Yes, it is pretty much a rifleman. But I think Macross has these guys too. So.
Yep. I think they're called Destroids.
Yeah, Destroids. They're all the different types of Destroids, yeah. The non-transforming ones. I did shorten the bottom barrels to make it look like the modern rifleman, but other than that, this is how it comes. It's huge, as you can see. That's my head. But yeah, he was pretty awesome. Multiple colors, as you can see, because I had a hell of a time with the resin. I bought resin from Amazon, and it came, and it was not good, but I didn't realize that until I started using it. So my original resin was the green, so I had green resin. And then this grayish one is the kind of the green and the bad gray mixed together. And then eventually I bought white. That's the top one. So it was a mix of all those to try to get this thing printed. So it took a long time to print this thing. Just because, watch out for that resin. Sometimes it gets cold, I think, and something goes wrong with it. So
yeah, this time of year for sure.
I got a refund at least for it, so I can't complain too much. That's a good thing about Amazon.
Yeah.
As for anything else, I think that's it for me. That's all for my Dropship. I didn't do anything else on him. I don't believe in painting, so.
How about you, Pat? What have you been working on?
Actually, I've been working on a little bit. So I was down in the basement doing some stuff for other projects. And so in between working on the other projects, I started working on my Zhang again. And like we talked about last month, I rattle can primed pretty much a lot of the sprues. And that has now since sped up my assembly process, because now I'm not wasting a lot of time primering, waiting for it to dry, and then coming back and airbrushing the chrome and the aluminum. You use aluminum too, which is nice.
That's airbrush paint, the aluminum?
Yes, aluminum color or chrome color.
Nice.
Aluminum is a little shinier than chrome.
Oh, yeah?
But it works really well for differentiating on transparent paint.
Yeah, you get that little underglow kind of thing.
Yeah, so in between working on other projects, I finished parts of it, so I have the upper torso put together. So now I got to work on the waist and the legs, and I think the arms.
He's a big boy.
And I should be done with most of the big pieces. I think what comes after I get the top half, which is about as big as half of my body, and about as wide as my shoulders. It's ginormous.
It's a big.
Yeah. I think I put that together with the waist, and then I start with the fingers.
Oh, jeez.
And so that's going to be weird, the size of the hand of that thing. So
I wonder how big it is. Yeah, is it like your size hand, do you think, or a little bit smaller?
Well, no, it's smaller. It's definitely smaller.
Is it more like your wife's size hand?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, as far as robots, I think I did that. I didn't. My other projects I'm working on aren't mech related. I'm trying to think. Did I work on anything mech related? I have still been cranking out the cav. Every once in a while I'm gonna get a little tired of airbrushing. I'll take a quick second and I'll
throw another color on a cav.
Well, I'll knock out all the cav terrain scatter pieces that we got in that Kickstarter, which is a giant bag, and
there's tons.
I've been I try to keep since I have multiples of they gave us multiples of 4 of the different types. I try and keep a set of 4 on the desk, that if I'm just I don't want to paint that just yet. All right, I'll knock this thing out real quick.
A bunch of different colors of gray.
Yeah, because I'm not super painting those cav terrain pieces.
Wow. There's terrain pieces.
Yeah, so I'm doing just like base colors, maybe a wash, and then a dry brush highlight. I might rust up with some pigments, some of the wrecked vehicles and stuff like that, but I don't put too much of an effort into it. So it's nice where I can just go blah 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 blah. Oh, look at that!
Yeah,
all set.
So
Now,
But
have you since we spoke last? Have you brought your camera down into the
oh yeah, we
basement?
talked about that. Yeah, I do need to take some pictures of the Zhang, but no, I have not. Because as we said before, I'm not tied to my phone. I grew up in a time when you couldn't bring a phone with you everywhere.
But
So
you also have cameras, though.
I do, but I don't. But they're still up here.
Yeah, but you
The
probably
bottom
have
line is
multiple cameras. Just leave one downstairs.
the bottom line is that they're all upstairs. I always forget to bring them down, and I just don't. And so I'm inherently lazy.
You just got to make a habit of grabbing the camera
not,
when you went.
And I'm not going to walk upstairs to get a camera.
Yeah, but you bring it down when you go downstairs. Just remember to bring it with you.
I know. One of these days I will.
One of these days.
Got to take it out of the bedroom, bring it downstairs, Pat.
Yeah, I know. It's in the office. It's literally when we were organizing the office, but reorganized the office again. Sarah's like, "Where'd this camera come? Where'd this video camera come from? Where's this video camera come from?" I go, "Oh yeah, I forgot we had those."
You should bring it downstairs. That's what she probably said to you.
So,
Nice.
yeah, but that's it.
All right. Well, my hobby table has been pretty light on mech related things. Mostly been painting up like D&D minis. Mostly to get like practice with my speed paints. I got the Army Painter speed paint set, so like getting a lot more familiar and comfortable with that and how they paint has been a big part. And but I did have the Corvus Games Terrain actually has a Kickstarter going on right now for a new line of in their kind of Tycho Starport-esque buildings called Magna Fortuna. And kind of with that, I was able, he sent us some samples to do for the Dead Zone, the podcast show, and printed off a couple of those and came up with a quick spray paint kind of scheme that I can get those on the table a lot faster than I usually do. So that's been fun. And then
Shameless plugs.
Shameless plugs. And then I also recently went to YomaCon, which was at the top of the month, which I almost forgot about it last time we recorded. But while I was there, I happened to pick up an SD version of the Aerial Gundam, and for like $12, which I was kind of blown away by, because next to it was like, $60-$80 mech kits that are all like imported from Japan and all that kind of fun stuff. And I'll talk more about the convention itself in our next section. But I'm excited to get that kit built up. Watching The Witch of Mercury like that, I really love that design of that Gundam, which they didn't call a Gundam for the longest time, and then
Wow.
Everyone was quick to point out the packaging says Gundam.
Wow, they did. It was for legal reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a plot point in the show where they're like, no, it's totally not a Gundam. Why would we call
that
it
would be illegal.
That would be illegal. But yeah, so nothing quite mech related on my painting desk right now, but I do hope to change that here, with some of the vacation time coming up. And yeah, so with that, I think we'll move on into the ComStar section of the show, where I'll talk more about that anime convention.
Yeah, we'll be right back with the same conversation.
Message from ComStar.
And welcome to ComStar. This is the section of the
He
show
made himself
where we
laugh.
talk about
Brian just
TVs,
laughs.
movies, books, comics, RPGs, video games. It's all inner dialogue going on where I'm just laughing at myself. But so yeah, this is the section of the show where we talk about all sorts of stuff that are not literally building or hobbying, and kind of entertainment that we've been enjoying related to Mecha. And so I'll just kind of continue on from my story. So I went to Youmacon, which is a big anime convention located in the Detroit area, and it was a really fun time. Mostly spent it in the vendor hall, which was pretty big. Like, not gonna lie, it's a big place. Um, and like I said, there's just all sorts of things you could get there, especially for Gundam kits and Macross kits and all sorts of other stuff. Plenty of DVDs and Blu-rays and whatnot as well. I did happen to find, I think an SD version of the YF-19 from Macross Plus. So like I stumbled on a lot of like really obscure Macross stuff, which I was surprised to find there, but happy to see. Unfortunately, the budget didn't allow for most of those purchases, but yeah, there was all sorts of really cool stuff there. On top of picking up the aerial Gundam, I also got myself a piece of art, ExFil.End art in the artist alley. I always try to hit up that area as well, since I know folks that do artist alley. You know, it's a lot of people putting their hard-earned work out there, and you know, always like to support that where I can. Really nice piece of ExFil.End art. Did not expect to find anything like that. You know, in this day and age, ExFil.End
cool.
hasn't had anything for like almost 20 years now.
Yeah, but like when we talked to
like 15 years ago, I think, because the movie came out.
we talked to Matt Click there, like he's doing that new Aether-Nexus thing.
Yeah,
it's obviously in the like people want a piece of this still.
Yeah, people really liked ExFil.End.
Yeah.
It resonated with a lot of different people and different
it's very
audiences.
different. Yeah, it's different than everything else too.
So the piece of art was great, and then also it just so happened that Tony Oliver was one of the guests there. For those unfamiliar, that is the original voice of Rick Hunter from Robotech, who has since gone on to voice all sorts of different characters, as well as doing a lot of audio ADR direction work for other voice casts and whatnot. Really nice guy. I think this is the second time I've met him at a convention. And I made sure to get a signed autograph of some Macross Robotech art.
Yeah, it's a cool picture too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It's one of the ones that like they kind of have available for autographs. So
it's got a nice white spot for the writing on it. So yeah.
Exactly. Didn't get to ask him a lot of questions or anything, or like pick his brain on like, so when's Macross coming out? Hey.
Yeah.
So, but he is a really sweet guy, and it's always nice to see him and support him when he comes by. So
yeah, it's cool that he's still doing the cons. So
yeah. And then kind of the other thing that I had on my ComStar docket was that I actually went to we had a firefight team tournament recently. So this is the Mantix Games firefight, and I was paired up with an Enforcer player, which was a really fun time. I brought my Earth Defense Force. Or Earth Federation forces, I should say.
You were getting Gundam, the SDF getting in there.
Yeah, blending all sorts of stuff. My Gundam together. GCPS force, with complete with a Gundam Strider in play, and had a really fun time. I think my record was 1-1-1. We won one, we lost one, and then we tied. But it was a really fun time. We had 8 players total, so about 4 teams, and like over half of them I think were newer players, like learning to play the game for the first couple times, and got to have them paired up with people with a bit more experience, and it was great. Played 3 rounds, a couple different scenarios, and I will say that I was really happy that my Strider, which historically have not done great, mostly due to dice rolls, they've struggled to make the kill and really capture objectives for me. And it just so happens that in the new version of firefights that had just come out recently. The command protocols, they added little things you can tweak on different units, one of which was to make your Strider pilots an ace pilot, which gives them an ability called Marksman, which lets them reroll ones on a D8.
It's not bad.
Turns out I didn't need to re-roll any dice.
You just miss. You don't roll. You don't miss bad.
No,
I just miss. But in this case, my Strider just decimated. I took out a Forge Father Juggernaut, another I forget if it was a tunneler or whatnot. A whole bunch of cyborgs got wasted with a big blast from it. It's that thing where I didn't wind up using the ability, but I think making him an ace pilot, it just gave him the confidence he needed to
it showed your
his job.
support for him, and
Yeah. I threw a couple points his way. So that was a fun time. But it is that thing where playing in that event really kind of helped highlight for me how I should probably start restructuring my list and start building more units to do a better job of synergizing with my faction's abilities, as opposed to just throwing what I've got painted out there. Because Firefight is a game where each faction has a list of very specific abilities that specific units or weapon types within a group get benefits for if you use these abilities triggered at the right time. And I was finding that I would often wind up with no units that would benefit from those abilities that I had available. So it's just I should really start building a bit more with that in mind if I hope to be successful in that game at all. Honestly, though, it's always just fun to throw dice and play Firefights. Just so much fun.
You had a whole recap on Dead Zone podcast, if you want to plug that again. But I heard a certain somebody won the whole tournament, though. You never told us that.
Yeah. So good friend of the show and co-host of the Dead Zone the podcast, Rick Hall, and his teammate Ben Kinney won the tournament. They were a
Ringers.
They were the Maison Labs / Enforcer pair up. Rick ran mostly a cyborg Maison Lab team, which was pretty fascinating. So he was geared for melee, and his partner was geared for range.
Yeah, so it just worked out. Yeah, because it was random partners, right? You said.
Yeah, it was randomized partners. So.
For the cyborgs, is he using the Dreadball guys, or has he got some other cyborgs from somewhere else?
They're technically they're Dreadball models, but they I believe they were Mantic had repackaged them. Did they? For the Dead Zone Maison Labs booster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, but ultimately they're the same models.
Yeah. I was just wondering. Because I remember back before they repackaged them, everybody was buying up all the Dreadball models, so you couldn't buy them for Dreadball.
I mean, that's what I did. Yeah. Eventually I'll get around to painting those guys. But
hopefully, eventually they go to the vault.
Yeah, they'll probably wind up there.
That'd be nice. Get lots of cyborgs.
So that's kind of my ComStar, and I think I'll throw it over to Pat to go next.
Okay, well, I had a week of freedom where the wife was gone, and so I was able to watch some things that I normally wouldn't watch. So I actually did some stuff in the ComStar this time around.
You did it for both. You did Dropship and you did ComStar. This is a miracle episode.
This is what happens when you don't have a honeydew list. So I watched Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash.
Yeah.
I finally caught up with that. I didn't catch up with the other one. What was the other one?
Witcher Mercury.
Witcher Mercury. Yeah. But I need to finish that. Is what I need to do.
That's a good one.
But I was flipping through the Netflix, and all of a sudden I saw Hathaway's Flash. Oh, what's this? Clicked it, watched it, enjoyed it. But like we said last time, it's one of those Mobile Suit Gundams that you have to kind of know a little bit of history, or you're just not going to get a lot of it.
Yeah, it definitely is a sequel to other things.
Required reading there.
Yeah. So, but I enjoyed it very much. And the other thing I watched because it was free on Paramount Plus was Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
This is what we implied before is Transformers.
There was a rant there.
I don't even know what you were angry about last time.
Well, we started because you were
Rob, you can clip in his rant, right? Because you have.
That's
his
true.
rant.
I can clip right to the real rant. It's only my interjections would be gone. So.
But I do think it started because you had mentioned the Bumblebee, and then
Oh yeah, John Cena.
Talking about all the.
And then I went off on John
movies.
Cena, how he was not the guy for that role.
I might just.
I think for me.
I think I deleted the other one, unfortunately, so I can't even clip it in. I was so angry that the last one didn't record that I just got rid of it.
Just got rid of it.
But
the rest of the Beast was okay. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't the best. I think what really hung me up is the Mirage acting too much like Jazz, because Jazz was my favorite before he died.
Yeah.
Several times in several different
iterations.
Yeah, we were very adamant about making sure Jazz died in the first Transformers movie.
Well, he also died in Transformers the movie too. So
yeah. So that kind of bothered me a little bit.
For me, it was Wheeljack. Wheeljack looking like Urkel, really from the trailers. I was like, cool.
I put that on my mind because every time I saw Wheeljack, I was like, that's not Wheeljack.
It's a different character. Yeah,
we're gonna call him something.
That's what everybody said. If you just call him something else, it'd be fine. Other than it's a caricature, like it's like a geek caricature, but still.
But I guess the biggest hang up of the Rise of the Beast movie is the introduction of Unicron again. I mean, I feel like every time they try to do these Transformer movies and bring in Unicron or Omnicron, which is even worse because one of the Mark Wahlberg movies made Earth Omnicron, I think it was.
Yeah, I think that's what we agreed on last time.
It was
even though we didn't
Omnicron.
look it up.
I didn't watch any of this stuff.
Yeah, it was bad, and then so in Rise of the Beast this time, the Primals are guarding a transwarp key, which Unicron wants, so he can leave his system and eat more planets. And eventually, he sends one of his badass minion out to hunt the Primals and kills all the other different Transformers and everything out there until he gets to Earth. And then chaos ensues. The Primes get their butts kicked until the very end of the movie, where they make some kind of self-realization, which makes them stronger.
See, therapy works.
Yeah, I'm a Prime.
Yeah, when they do some inner reflection, and all of a sudden they decide that, I am not worthless.
I can do this. Yeah, that's right. If that song played, it'd be worth it.
If they had played that song in the movie, I would have been all right with it.
That's right.
Because Optimus Prime gets his butt whipped throughout that whole movie by this. I don't even remember what the bad guy's name is.
Was it Scourge?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
don't know why I know that either.
Yeah.
He's a black truck, right? I think I've seen the toy.
Yeah, he might have been. He's like all rusted and jacked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even Prime got his ass kicked by Maximal Prime, or what is that? Is it Maximal?
I don't.
Gorilla?
I never watched
We
Beast
still
Wars.
didn't look it up.
I don't watch Beast Wars.
I gotta look it up, but
I think it's Maximum.
But not as good as Bumblebee, but better than Bay movies. Is that what you're saying?
yes. And again, Bumblebee movie slightly okay, but it's not. One of the I think it is not a sequel as everyone thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it would take place like right after Bumblebee. That's the thing.
No, I think it happens like
present day.
Yeah. So.
Or
whatever that is.
I think it's like a couple years after, because when is Bumblebee supposed to be like
80s? It's
84?
definitely 80s. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I think this happens in the 90s, like in the mid 90s.
Was there a lot of grunge going on?
I think so. There was
a lot of flannel.
There was a lot of TLC and a lot of.
I was on a very famous TV show.
Alice in Chains.
That's right. Yeah. Sadly, I'm happy I haven't watched it because I think there is no good Transformers movie other than the original Transformers the movie. Even that, as a kid, I didn't really like that. I didn't understand. I was mad that Optimus got killed. Like that really upset me as a child. So I don't think I appreciated it until later. That's for sure. And let's not even get started on G.I. Joe. Jeez.
It's Optimus Primal is the
Optimus Primal.
Okay. That's what it was.
That all makes sense now.
Of course.
I'm actually looking at some of these things, and I didn't realize Peter Dinklage was Scourge.
There you go.
Oh.
And Ron Perlman was Optimus Primal.
Oh, really? That was Ron Perlman.
So
what a waste.
The more you know.
I'm learning all about all these things too.
Man, we need a Transformers movie directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Exactly. But they're also bringing back. So they're also bringing. I don't know how they are explaining the missing Transformers. Then, like RC was there, but then she just kind of disappears. Was she?
I don't think it.
Bumblebee?
I don't. But Bumblebee takes place before. But I don't think this is supposed to connect to the Bay movies anymore. I think they separated them. So.
Well, okay. If that's the case,
I think so.
Because
I'm thinking they separated them, but they kept the look.
Oh yeah, well, sort of. The look is not as bad as the.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some kind of announcement. Don't follow these movies.
Yeah.
They don't connect anymore, because I think that's where my confusion and anger gets ignited.
Well, it's because when Bumblebee was so successful, I think they're like, well, let's just do its own thing after that. But then it seems like they wasted the potential that Bumblebee. Because at the end, they're like, they got together, and it's like, oh, it's going to be like G1 kind of. And then it's like, let's skip ahead.
I mean, I don't know who's in charge of these movies, but whoever's in charge of these movies,
well, I think Bay is still executive producer. I think he's still got his finger in there. So
he needs to stop. He needs to actually sit down and watch a cartoon then, because he doesn't
care. What he does is make big bombastic movies that sell in China. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about, and he gets paid lots of money. Although these movies, I don't think did that well. So I think this was.
Well, one of these days he's going to be at a Transformer convention, and he's going to be choking.
No, he
on a
won't.
hot dog.
He won't fucking care.
And no one's going to save him.
He will never go to any of those things because he doesn't care about the fan base. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about the dollar sign. That's all he cares about. And until recently, he was successful because Blockbusters existed, and now the Blockbusters kind of dead now. You don't get Blockbusters anymore. So I think that really is his kind of movie is on its way out.
He's capitalizing on the kids.
Even then, kids don't go to movies anymore. They'd rather sit and watch on their phone. Like, they don't even watch on TVs, you know? Like, they don't. Blockbusters aren't what they
increasingly smaller and smaller screens to watch these big movies.
And they watch Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever. Like, that's the kind of thing they want to see. So,
I mean, Matthew Lillard's in that. So,
yeah, it's true. And he was in Scooby-Doo, so that's all that matters.
He's Shaggy.
That's right.
And he was in Hackers.
He's also in
Scream. Yeah, Hackers.
Matthew Lillard is a wonderful member of the geek community.
Yes. I think he actually did. I think he might have directed Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know
if he might have.
Yeah, or executive produced or something. He was
I think he was
more into it. Yeah, he was more into it than just the acting. Anyways, enough about Five Nights at Freddy's. But
yeah, it's Rob's turn. Rob, what did you?
Oh yeah, it's my turn. Speaking of Transformers, though, that's a good segue. I did read the. Yes, I did read the new IDW, or not IDW. That's who used to have it. It's new Image version of Transformers. IDW lost the license last year, so Image took it over. Robert Kirkman's company, and I'm not a big Kirkman fan, but this is all done by Daniel Warren Johnson. And he writes and draws most of it. And it's a retelling of G1, but different. It kind of starts the same, but at the beginning, Spike and Carly are actually in the Ark and help Optimus fight off the Decepticons. Megatron's nowhere to be seen yet. It's kind of a mystery. It's all about Starscream. And then, even it connects to G.I. Joe because Duke is kind of there. His brother's a fighter pilot who comes across the Seekers suddenly and don't know what the hell they are until they transform.
Speaking of which, too, G.I. Joe makes a surprise appearance.
Yeah, that's right.
As the Beast. I forgot about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Terrible.
Who?
And
this
it was
very end. They're like, you're this unknown guy who's in Transformers. You want to join the G.I. Joe team?
Exactly. It was what's that?
Total misunderstanding.
Channing Tatum, was it?
No,
it was. Oh, for God's sakes! What's his damn name?
It should have been John Cena's Duke.
It was.
No, he could be original Joe. He could be Joe Clayton.
He played the teacher that was the pitcher and turned the major league pitcher.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, the actor. God bless it. I can't even remember his other movies.
You look it up. I'll continue talking about Transformers.
Yeah. Go
So
I mean, it was Channing Tatum and the.
that was in the other one.
I don't even think it needs to. Those are also.
They're not connected. Those G.I. Joes are bad. But yeah, it's Transformers comic, pretty good. I think it's a good start. It's easy to get into. The art is much better than not much better, but a lot cleaner. Like I found the IDW and the original, especially the original Marvel art, to be confusing sometimes and really jarring. This was a lot more like the cartoon I found, so it's a lot more easy to get into, a lot more accessible, as they say. But yeah, I suggest if you are into Transformers, go check it out. Only I think a couple issues are out now, so it's easy to get into. And yeah, it's a pretty good start. Pat, you figured out yet?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Okay.
He's quite old.
Yeah, but I think he plays.
He was in those first G.I. Joe movies.
Oh no, maybe he was Flint.
He was the commander of the Joes.
Are you sure that's who was in the in the Transformers movie? I think you're getting confused now. You're getting befuddled.
No, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Well,
you keep talking. I'm gonna figure it out.
Well, Pat's looking that up. I did also recall something that I had forgotten before too. And then I'll get back to Rob because I'm interrupting his time. But I did watch that Avatar: Way of Water.
Oh yes.
And which my comment last time was like, it was neat to see they had a whole like army of those APUs, I think they were called. They're the mechs that they stomped around with in the first movie, and they had them for like a whole 30 seconds, and then they were gone. And they're replaced much later in the movie with like these little crab underwater mechs. It's
because since the bad guys were able to turn into avatars, the Navi, I think they kind of replaced. They didn't need another scale thing because that was the mechs made it even scale, right? So that fight in the first movie is great. Him and them in the mech, but
and
it was all right. I didn't mind the Way of the Water. I think it was really long. It was way too long, much longer than it should have been.
3 hours and 12 minutes.
And it probably could have been an hour and a half. Like there was a lot of wasted time.
It's not bad, but it was juggling a whole lot.
Yeah. Like they could have cut out whole sections that weren't important at all to the movie. And then they had weird, like there's some weird metaphysical stuff that I was like, what the hell's going on here? So. We'll see. Number 5 or number 3 just got announced for 2025, Christmas 2025. So
really?
another year.
It won't be a decade. Before.
2 years. 2 years from now. Yeah.
But the podcaster from Canada, your
do I have the floor?
Reserved. You reclaimed your time.
I don't know, Pat. Did you figure it out yet?
Yeah, it wasn't Dennis Quaid. It was
I didn't think so.
Michael Kelly.
I have no idea who that is. I have no idea who Michael Kelly is.
If you saw his face, you'd recognize him. He plays a bunch of bits.
But back to me.
A bunch of bits. Back to Rob.
It's backwards, but I did get my Beam Saber print on demand from the Kickstarter from Drive-Thru RPG. It's a nice hardback, square bound, glued binding, but we'll see how well that lasts. But nice book. We did decide it is a Blades in the Dark based on system by Austin Ramsey. I can't wait to check it out, read it all, and another fun RPG with mechs in it. And I got to say, that Kickstarter was great. I've had other Kickstarters that you get like a code for Drive-Thru RPG, and then you still have to pay a bunch of money. But these guys they said, "Yep, here's your thing. You redeem it," and they sent me the book. It was great. So I highly recommend you support Beam Saber in the future. It looks kind of cool, so I can't wait to check it out. I do love mech RPGs. We do have quite a few that we support, so that's another fun thing. Yeah, I think that's it for my ComStar. Was that the last person? I was, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
Yes.
It was a long one because we were vamping to try to figure out information that we didn't really care about.
Yeah. We still got a Transformers rant in there. That was the important part. And so with that, let's head on over to the MechBay Hanger and talk about the main topic for this episode.
Excellent. Wonder if Transformers will show up.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
Welcome to the MechBay Hanger. So those unfamiliar, this is kind of our round table topic for this episode. And with the holiday season being what it was, where in the U.S. we just had Thanksgiving, and looking forward, we have a multitude of holidays coming up with the end of the year here. We've got Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and more. I'm just ignorant of them, so I apologize. But a big element of this time and this season is family, right? And being together, hopefully with a positive family group, whether it's your biological family or a found family that you had. It's something that we also see a lot represented in Mecha. And so I thought I'd open the floor to talk about some of our favorite family units that we've seen throughout different Mecha franchises, and what what we like about them, what they kind of represent, and how they manifest. Some of them, fighting for each other and good. Others, not so much. Some are some kind of twisted families that work together for nefarious ends, but and some are just complicated.
Yeah.
And so I thought I would start the list off with one family unit that I really like. It's a combo of biological and found, is the Iori family from Gundam Build Fighters.
I still think you're saying Eeyore.
Iori, Iori. And so this specifically kind of around Sei Iori, who's this kid that really likes building Gundam kits. And for those unfamiliar with Gundam Build Fighter, it literally is this very meta-textual Gundam series where all of Gundam shows exist and have their Gunpla available, and that you can build them and have them fight in a digital arena and actually damage the model kit in some cases. And so Sei is, his mom works at the Gunpla store, and his dad exists. He's kind of absent the entire show. Doesn't sound like a dirtbag or anything, but he's just not present. But in over the course of the show, Sei befriends this one guy named Reiji. And I apologize if you can hear my dog growling at
That's all right. He doesn't like Reiji.
Door. So I'll address that in a second. But the dynamics of those, where Reiji just kind of has a natural bend to the combat side of playing the game that exists within the Build Fighters universe. And that combination, that friendship, that dynamic, and all the characters that they interact with throughout the show, it's something that I always really loved, how those characters bonded. It was really reminiscent of a personal experience for me, where I have a good friend that we literally cosplayed. He was my Sei to my Reiji, where he really liked building Gunpla, and I would play the video games of it. And so it was a really fun dynamic, and like that show really resonated with me, especially from that kind of family that was kind of central to the story. So that's the first one for me, and I think we'll throw it over to Rob. You can go first this time, or second, I guess. I'll let my dog out of the room.
Yeah, so you can escape your dog. But my first one is from the Robotechs. Of course, it's going to be Max and Miria and Dana, the child. I think it's a great family. Any family that starts with a knife fight.
With a knife fight, yep. Any family that starts with an assassination attempt.
Yep. And they use the same knives for their wedding cake, which I thought was appropriate. And then Dana was born. Of course, Dana has a baby head, kind of teal hair. I don't know what happened. She's blonde later. I don't know who knows? Who knows what happened there?
It was the 80s.
Maybe in the SDF in Macro City they have hairstylists.
That's right. Permanently changed her hair color to blonde. But yeah, so it's definitely Robotech, not so much Macross, because it does continue on into the Masters version of Robotech with Dana as a young adult, I guess. It's hard to say how old she is, but it's a generational family. We get Max and Mira, and as Brian says, it's in Macross. They have a lot more kids. Like there's not just these.
They have a good dozen kids or so.
Good dozen. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Some are adopted though.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 that are adopted, but it is a very large family. We interact with a number of their daughters.
Did they adopt any Zentradi kids?
Yes. I forget how many. Like I said, there's a lot of them, and like there's a family picture of all of them standing together. But we ultimately only interact with, I think, 4 of them total over the course of the entire franchise as it exists right now. And but yeah, it's a really fun family within that space, especially in Macross 7, where we get to see those 2 characters of Max and Amelia continue to interact with one another in a fun dynamic, and their daughter is in a band, so that's cool.
She's not driving a hover tank, eh?
She might be doing that too.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's my first family. So back to Pat, I guess.
Me, yes. So my first family is literally a family. So this is a show
Sorta.
that I used to run home to watch after school, and I would catch it. I would call it was, if I remember my time right, it was my 3:30 show, and then we got out of school at 2:50 something.
So it was a rush home to get to it?
It was rush home to watch and to turn on the TV and make sure the antennas were able to pick up the station.
Their head antennas?
Yeah. So that would be the Space Giants, which was the English version, which was based on the Japanese cartoon Ambassador Magma. I guess the if you don't know the Space Giants, it's it starts off as a family, a wife and a husband robot family. One was gold, one was silver, and they come to Earth because they're there to protect it from, I can't even remember the bad guy's name now.
Bad guy.
Bad guy. We'll call him bad guy, who's going to destroy Earth. So they come there to protect it, and they befriend a human family. That's a wife and a husband, and they have a son. So as the show goes on, the creator of the 2 robots, Goldar and Silvar, because one was gold and one was silver.
Subtle.
The one thing I always thought was weird, though, is that the husband would be like Godzilla size when he changed into a robot, and the wife always stayed human size.
Mm-hmm.
The 60s.
So the creator of the 2 robots then wanted to give them a kid. So he built the 3rd robot, which was based off the family's kid, even to the point where they gave him a red and white sweater, just like the original kid. And so that kid then bonded with the kid robot, and then when they turned into rockets to fly around,
it sounds like a fever dream.
And then they turned into rockets.
You obviously never watched 60s Japanese.
Is the creator guy the guy that looks like Moses?
Yeah, I think his name is almost like Methuselah or Methusen or something like that.
He's got even a crook staff.
Yeah, so it's you know.
Wizard.
Those Japanese, they like their Moses / Noah.
Once again, not very subtle.
Type archetypes.
Yeah.
But so then it would be the family robot saving the Earth with the help of the human family. So when I say true family, true family.
Aw.
Yeah.
True family.
Just ridiculous with the little kid robot rolling around red, because they would keep their colors so you know which robot was which.
Yeah, but they're flying
rocket mode.
Yeah,
right.
You don't want to get mixed up Silver Rocket with red
Gold
and white rocket
and red and white rocket.
Can't have that happen.
So
nice.
It was a different time, but the whole point is your nostalgia for trying to run home from school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that, and those were the afternoon ones. I think Johnny Sacco and his giant robot was the other one. And then the morning ones were Battle of the Planets and Star Blazers.
Definitely remember Battle of the Planets.
Speed Racer was an afternoon one too. That was like 4:30.
I remember Speed Racer. Not when it originally aired, but I remember it.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm not talking about that crappy movie.
No.
Not that seizure-inducing.
Wachowski movie.
Seizure-inducing. Yeah.
I never saw it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually kind of like. It does some things well and other things not so much.
yes.
But
It's very bright.
The story is horrible.
it's very bright.
And the story for Speed Racer is horrible.
Is Racer X in it?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all it's important. He's the coolest.
But we're not talking about the Racer X family.
That was an honorable mention. We'll throw in Speed Racer as an honorable mention.
There's our honorable mention.
The Racer family, because the Mach 5 technically is a mech.
Sure.
It's crazy. So my next family is a very is a complicated one. It is Solid Snake and his family, all encompassing from the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Now, specifically if you look at Metal Gear Solid 4, where we have kind of the culmination of a lot of different storylines and characters. Solid Snake himself is a clone of this character, Big Boss, and he has a twin brother named Liquid, and they have another brother who is Solidus.
There's no gaseous snake?
No.
Solidus.
He evaporates.
Oh.
There's no water snake?
Oh, you got Liquid.
No.
You got Liquid.
Oh.
Yeah, there's Liquid. And
Plasma. Is there a plasma snake?
We'll go with Solidus. He shoots like plasma out of these
maybe that's it.
robot tentacle
He's
things.
solid-ish.
Yeah, solid-ish. But it's a very complicated history within this family structure. Both his biological family, which is made up of these clones and super soldiers and everything like that, dating back to before the Cold War era, all the way to this kind of modern day space where the world is run by private military corporations, and there's this big industrial.
I think the only thing that's not realistic is the mechs.
Yeah, and yeah, there's just giant mechs walking around supporting them, and but then he also has his found family via Otacon and an adopted daughter, and a good friend named Meryl, who he saved when he was in his first Metal Gear Solid mission, and so it's a really fascinating. Like, the thing that I really like about the family is how much that's the dynamic of like them being clones and like genetics and how like their genes kind of define who they are, and the pushback against that kind of destiny, if you will, and all the characters and how that manifests and how they relate to one another, both either as protagonist or antagonist. It's just really fascinating, and like I said, it's complicated. Within Metal Gear Solid 4, there's like a 12-minute like cinematic sequence where one character just describes, okay, this is how you and your siblings came to be, and why this other guy is gone crazy. But it ultimately ends with Snake fighting his brother on top of this Metal Gear,
as you should,
and just a fist fight of these older men, because one of them is Solid Snake, who's aging faster because he's a clone, and then this other guy who's crazy, who is old in general. But yeah, so it's a complicated family, but like I do feel like that the characters that make that up are what really make the Metal Gear franchise what it is. Like it's those dynamics of those characters and those families, because more often than not, the villains that the character faces off of is like a group or team that is kind of their own family unit, and they have dynamics within that as well. So it's a lot of the interplay there, and like I said, it really forms the heart of the Metal Gear franchise. And so yeah, I think, and there's plenty of mechas in there. And so, to quote Otacon, it's like one of my Japanese animes. So that's my second pick, the Metal Gear Solid franchise.
Nice.
And kicking it back to Rob, what's next on your list?
Another big one from the Gundam franchise is Witch from Mercury. We got Sulata and Eri, and not so much Prospera. She's not the best mother on Earth.
So much. Not so much.
But the whole show really is the dynamic between this whole family, about the mother trying to save her daughter by using the other daughter, and in the end, they find love and acceptance. That's the true meaning of Witch from Mercury. It's not all the big fights and a lot of deaths. It's love finds a way.
and like and that one even has like a big found family element to it, where she's going to school and meets
the Earth
wins her
group,
bride,
and meets the whole Earth group, who pretty much is a family. And definitely it's definitely family is very forefront in Witch from Mercury. That is definitely one of the themes. And because amongst even the bad guys, it's all about step sons and clone sons, and there's a bunch of
a lot of nepotism in that show.
And a lot of backstabbing by generational people. So
yes, a lot of generational grief and bad blood
and trying to live up to their fathers, what their fathers expect from them. Also, like
Mjorne is also a big element of that dynamic, and her interjection really kind of messes with the family dynamic of Suleta, Eri, and Prospera they originally have going.
She kind of breaks the cycle of abuse, really.
It was not a very positive living.
But it was a lot of brainwashing, and then a lot of abuse. So but
it manifests in a fascinating way with Prospera in particular, where yes, she kind of has a means to an end element to how she treats Suleta, but at the same time there does become a point in the story where she makes a concerted effort to remove Suleta from the further conflict that's coming ahead.
She tries. Because she's it's all about the older daughter / younger daughter.
The older daughter.
But
who's a baby.
It's a complicated show, but it's really is good. Watch it, and that was my second one. Back to Pat.
All right, so I am going to diverge a little bit, and we are going to talk about a family who wasn't the heroes or the thing, and that would be the Zabi family from the original Gundam. I love the Zabi family because they remind me of those nighttime TV dramas back in the 70s and 80s, like Falcon Crest or Dallas. Things like that,
for sure.
Where they have the dysfunctional family ruling a whole thing, and that just embodies the whole Zabi family, starting with, for God's sakes, Garma.
Garma,
Well, Garma.
Garma's
Garma's the youngest, loved by everyone, but then he dies.
Dolza.
Then you got Cassilia, who is the one daughter, but everyone underestimates her and just kind of puts her in the background because she's a girl, even though she's well accomplished.
Yes.
And then Dozel is the big guy,
Mm-hmm.
And then Zazro is I would label him as the sneaky, conniving one, because he's part of the media, right? He's always controlling the media.
Yeah, but he gets killed right away.
Right away. And then you got Garen, who is questionably racist.
Questionably? I don't think there's not much question about that.
It's pretty overt.
And then you got Degwin, who's the head of the family, who's trying to keep it all together,
wrangle these kids,
keeping empire, while still trying to keep power. Mm-hmm. And even if you look at the family picture of the Zabi family, it just looks like a 70s. Which the best part about the whole family picture is that Zazro is missing in the picture.
Yeah, Zazro, for those unfamiliar, like gets killed before the events of the 1 Year War start.
Yeah.
And is used as like like killed in a terrorist attack, as more reason that the colonies should join the Xeon movement.
Yes, and rebel against Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And there's like fun, like familial dynamics that have been kind of presented in different iterations of Gundam. I think last time I mentioned that there was this series called Gundam-san, which is like a 4 comedy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Bit. And there was this really kind of touching element, which was called like Dharma Space Island or something like that. And it was showing the Zabi family from Garma's perspective before they came into power, and it was like presented where, it's that they were kind of this like working class family that were just kind of roughing it through the tough times, and then just kind of got invigorated by this movement, and energized in that kind of malicious way, and like all of a sudden they're doing like rallies,
rose through the ranks,
protests and more violence and whatnot, and kind of at the heart of the story is Garma talking to like Cassilia, who's left home, and so this is like really young baby Garma, and there's this really poignant moment in that story where Garma's talking to Cassilia, and he's like, when are we, when's everybody coming home? Like, when are we going to be a family again?
Never.
And like that moment happens, and then we have a beat, and suddenly we're with Cassilia. She's in her full regalia and everything, and she's looking up, and there's Char with a bazooka.
The end.
As she like has this last little flashback before that incident happens. So that was this comedic, just kind of non-canon take on it, which I thought was really fascinating. And then you have the Gundam The Origin, which is like, this is what really happened, which treats, it's like, no,
scheming
this
and
entire family
evil,
was evil from day one. And
plotting to take control, and
which is how I like to think of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think
which
that
is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I think that's the official version of them. So.
Yeah, that is what's canon, is that they were evil from the start.
Power hungry, wanted to take
misunderstood is how
poisoning and and backstabbing.
Yeah.
Again, like
literally
all misunderstood except for Giran.
Giran was pretty overt. I think everyone understood what he was going for.
That's what I'm saying.
When he's told about, literally told about Hitler, he's like, sounds like a guy I would like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Zabi family.
Yay!
More fun times. All right. Well, going into my last one, I did have an honorable mention of my own, which I did want to throw out there. It was the Gecko State from Erica 7. Now, the Gecko State gets an honorable mention, not just because the leader, they don't sell insurance. They're a radical, like skyboarding counterculture group, led by a guy who shares the same last name as me, and
self-serving.
Yeah, a little bit. But the main character in there is kind of thrust into this group, which is a big found family of people that have been, again, kind of one part counterculture, kind of punk lifestyle meets eco-terrorists and whatnot, fighting through the conflict of that series. And it's really good. I wanted to mention it because I think Erica 7 is a series that really could use some love. It's a really great series from, I think, the mid 2000s, and it's had some sequels which I've heard are a little rough around the edges, but that main series I think was really good. And if you enjoyed a lot of Gundam growing up, then I would recommend that show. But for my final pick, I think it would be remiss if I did not mention Team Dai Guren from Tengen Toppa Guren Lagann. This is the epitome of found family, as our kind of main characters as they start off is Kamina adopts a younger sibling, Simone, and through their adventures they bring about this whole movement of humanity pushing it further and further to overcome greater and greater challenges and obstacles. The dynamic between them all, like at times is a little troubling with the amount of like physical abuse that happens. A lot of face punching of which in hindsight is kind of questionable.
The only way to solve problems.
Wrong. But I always did love the dynamic of the family unit within that show, where we have a lot of multi-generational characters throughout that series. There's a lot of kind of old guard, there's the kind of more youthful adults, and then there's the younger generation that's up and coming, and like we follow them through this multi-year long journey in conflict. And it culminates where a number of kind of our heroic characters and older members of the family like sacrifice themselves in order to make sure that the younger generation continues and has a better life than what they had. And it culminates with a speech by Simone that I think encapsulates it perfectly. It's the dreams of those who have fallen, the hopes of those who will follow. Those two sets of dreams weave together into a double helix, drilling a path towards tomorrow. And especially when he says it, it's very empowering and entertaining. And then he destroys the universe. It's great. But so Team Dai Guren, it's a really fantastic sets of characters, a lot of great dynamics, and like I said, the like emotional core of that franchise is really centered on those characters and how they push to overcome adversity together.
Nice.
And and so I'll throw it back to I think last time we did Pat first and then Rob.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense to do Pat first here. So.
We'll do Pat first on this.
All right, so my last one is a family true and near and dear to my heart, and that is House Steiner, Battletech, of the Lyran Commonwealth, and specifically more the 3020-ish after the Third Succession War.
Katrina and Melissa, her daughter.
And Melissa, who gets married to Hans Davian.
And causes a lot of trouble.
But they bail out the Federated Sons from their coup attempt by, oh God, I forget.
It's the Laos.
The Laos, Compelling Confederation.
They tried to clone Hans, but the
Kellhounds
and Steiners come to the rescue.
Exactly, and then they bring peace to the world until Melissa and Davian's devil spawn.
We'll get to it. They bring peace to the world by trying to destroy the Capellans. That's their peace. Yeah. They start the Fourth Succession War. So,
but this is Battletech. This is how you keep peace, by destroying other houses.
Yeah. Peace through elimination,
which is what the clans tried to do, and so. But everyone loves the clans. When
Don't get them to start it.
But when the House Steiner does it, it's genocide.
I don't think it was ever okay.
So that's my last family. I encountered the Steiners and the Davians with the first Battletech I read, which was The Sword and the Dagger. I guess as I was reading on Sarnanet.
Sarna.net.
It was not the first book. Everyone thinks it's the first book. It was the first book written, but not the first book shopped.
Like published, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the first book shopped, but not the first book written.
No.
Right.
Yeah, so it was the first book published, but not the first book written.
Nah. But it definitely shows Katrina the original Katrina, as a powerful leader. A little conniving, but she in the end,
But they all were, weren't they?
Yeah, but she wasn't doing it badly.
Some were more overt than the others.
Yeah, her conniving was, selling her
all for the
wonderful
good.
daughter, her wonderful teenage daughter, a middle-aged man. But that's all right.
But that's that whole medieval feudal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely what it was based on.
Alliance building.
Yeah.
So.
And it was the two good groups pretty much in the world at the time. Like obviously the Steiners and the Davians at the beginning were the good guys, even though later on it was retcon that obviously they aren't the good guys. But
they'll always be the good guys.
Yeah, when it was first written, they definitely were shown to be the more honorable people compared to the Capellans and the Curitas. But definitely Capellans. Nobody thinks the Capellans are the good guys. That's never been said.
Yeah, same with the Curitas. The Curitas.
They got the samurai spirit. They're not as bad.
Yeah.
But this really rolls into mine. So we'll get right to mine because mine is a certain other Steiner Davians, but it's the next generation of she was born Catherine Steiner Davian, but she changed her name to Katrina to try to get some favor with the Steiners, and her brother Victor. Not the best family because they end up tearing the universe apart. 2/3 of the universe gets into a civil war after this, but Katrina was a bad person. She killed her mother, and while Victor was away destroying the clans, at least beating them back, she took advantage and stole the Commonwealth out from under them and started the Civil War, FedCom Civil War. But they're still family. They still love each other. No, they actually hated each other very much.
They send each other postcards at the holidays.
But the rest of the Dynasty-Stavians, like Peter or Yvonne, they were not bad people. Peter got a little brainwashed. That's all right. Yvonne was kind of wimpy.
Happens.
She eventually marries someone good, I think, and lives a happy life. Yvonne's probably the one who gets away good. Victor lives to a ripe old age, but he's always in trouble. But Katrina eventually gets beat back, sent to the clan Wolf to. She never gets killed. She gets sent away, and maybe as a progenitor to the current Ilkhan. But
yep.
So it's all still happening. That's the beauty of Battletech is that it is all about families. It's all about families in Battletech. The multi-generation stories about. That's why I think they really lost it in the Dark Age, which I'm currently reading. It's got a little bit of it, but they did lose a lot of the threads of some of these ancient families and where they're going. Like Pat said in his original one about Dynasty and Falcon Crest and all, it's kind of like that, but with giant mechs. That's really what Battletech is. So
I think they lost their way when they introduced the Ag mechs.
Oh wow, that was a whole other issue. Clicky tech was a whole other issue, but yeah. So it's the Steiner Davians. Not the best happy family to end with, but they got there in the end. Victor eventually had a bunch of kids that were not bad. He had kids with illegitimate kids with Omi before she died. Spoilers, and they kind of turned out all right. And then he's got other kids that turned out all right. None of them lived up to the grandeur of them, though. I think that was kind of the end of the Steiner Davians. And that's it. That's my last family.
Oh, very nice. And so I think with that, if there are any families that you think should have been on these lists, if you think the white base, heck, we didn't talk about them at all.
Autobots.
Autobots. What about Gendo Ikari and Evangelion?
That's a strange family.
It's a strange family for sure.
But if there are any that you really resonate with you, that you really enjoy within the Mecha franchise, feel free to leave a comment on our YouTube page or in our Facebook group or in our Discord channel. We've got all sorts of different ways that you can reach out to us. But we'd love to hear what you guys have to think. And I think with that, let's head on out to the ExFil.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's ExFil out of here.
And here we are in the ExFil. So we're heading out for the holidays here. We hope everyone has a safe and wonderful one, and you get to celebrate it with the family that you would love to spend that time with.
Yes, hopefully you'll get more Gundam models that you'll never build like me.
And hopefully you don't murder half the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't throw the universe into a civil war, please.
Exactly.
It's only Christmas or other non-denominational holiday.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so we'll have a show out right after the Christmas time.
Yep.
So
I'm sure it'll be a lot of what we got.
a lot of what we got. It'll be capping off and starting the new year. Heck, there goes 2023, and hope you guys.
Good riddance.
Another 12 episodes down in the pocket. It's hard to believe that's 12 episodes already.
That's a month. That's a year.
2024.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And there's speaking of like 2024, we're starting off the year in January. We have the new Gundam Seed movie's going to be coming out. There's a whole bunch more.
The second part of the Hathaway Flash is supposed to come out in 2024. I don't know the date on that yet, but it just says 2024.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of mech related stuff.
Yeah, Warpath Kickstarter for the 10mm version of Firefight and Dead Zone. Warpath is going to be coming out in January, February, somewhere in there.
February. Yep, there'll be a Kickstarter for that.
All I can say is those little teeny Striders are cute as hell. Yeah, everybody needs them.
And I think everyone should have.
As cute as the stunt bots.
I don't.
Aww.
Oh, I have some over there somewhere, but yeah, they're very cute. But yeah.
So hope everyone has a safe time this season and
drive safely.
Yep.
Watch that weather.
Enjoy your family time. Don't marry anyone off to a rival family.
Yep.
House.
Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Make sure you buy the big giant Fusiler from John B. Ross.
Yes. And so with that, I've been Brian.
And I've been Chopper.
I've been Rob.
And I've been the Fusiler. Pew pew.
All right. Have a great holiday season, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Execute Order 66.
Whoa.
This was episode 66. Well, no, you got to pew pew it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter @MArmorRadio. Join us on the first of every month for more mecha discussion.